were they just a few months ago, Tether? At the Beaver Creek Mining Summit, talking to the actual miners. They're buying miners and they're buying a shitload of gold. And they will continue to do so anytime money moves. Not only will it be synthetic demand for the Treasury, keeping rates low, it'll be synthetic demand for the gold market, letting the price rise. And then at some magic moment, maybe it's July 4th, 2026, I don't know, when Judy said he will back the back end of the bond market to gold,
And you spoke about all the gold that actually started coming into the U.S. after the election, even before President Trump took over.
Yeah.
Do you think that's, of course, Secretary Besson and others will deny there will be any revaluation, but it seems to me that that's a card that they have, and they've even spoken about it. I think, back in August, Colin Weiss, he wrote a paper for the Federal Reserve Board talking about revaluation. Why would they be writing about it if they weren't thinking about it? And yes, I don't know if you saw last week, I think it was on Sunday, or Besson said, well, the U.S. economy is going to grow significantly and do really well in the first and second quarter. And my question was, how does he know this? What does he know that we don't? So just wonder what you think of this prospect of revaluation.
I think it's highly probable. I think it's highly probable. I screamed since the beginning of the year that it wasn't tariffs that was bringing all this gold back. It's reshoring. Central banks are no longer just buying gold, they're actively hoarding it. And it started then. And it's interesting, there's a fine line between conspiracy and reality. And I'll give you an example. But before I do, you got guys like James Rickards saying, they're going to revalue it to 24,000. And he has a metric by which he does it. I think it's M2 divided into the gold or whatnot, which would give the Treasury general account 5 trillion plus free and clear. By issuing new gold certificates. And by the way, those gold certificates, the gold does not belong to the Federal Reserve, who prints 5 trillion and gives it to the Treasury. They get the cash value of it. The gold belongs to the people. But by printing that money, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold would give the Treasury general account 1 trillion free and clear. By printing that, you devalue the dollar by 40-50%. What did Trump talk about yesterday? We've done 18 trillion in manufacturing, brought it home to build manufacturing centers and this and that. What does he want to do? He wants to bring home manufacturing. Now, here's the fine line between conspiracy and reality right here. The raising of the gold price is actually devaluing the dollar. That's what they want to do to sell manufacturing to the world.
Stop and think about this strategy. A weaker dollar makes American goods cheaper for the rest of the world to buy. It is the only way to rebuild the industrial base, but it comes at a cost: massive inflation for the average consumer. If you think the US needs to bring manufacturing back home, hit that like button and subscribe, because we are tracking this shift closely.
Have to relinquish the world reserve currency. What did knucklehead Jared Bernstein say? He is a moron. He was the chief economic advisor for Biden, but watch him try to explain Treasury creation. It's the most humiliating thing you've ever seen someone do. I know you remember that. His report, Dethrone King Dollar, speaks of losing the reserve status. Triffin's dilemma, no longer good for the U.S. We can't ever not have a trade imbalance being the world reserve. Vice President Vance said the same thing on White House letterhead, right? They don't want it. They want a devalued dollar to bring back manufacturing because we don't make anything anymore. 60% of this country has, I'm going to get to the conspiracy fine line, but 60% of the country has a literacy rate below that of the 6th grade. For God's sakes, we're broke, we're stupid, we're insolvent, and AI is going to kneecap how many jobs? At least the majority of entry-level jobs. And so when you talk about the need to bring back manufacturing, and by the way, that doesn't take out of the equation that manufacturing having robotics and AI in it. Regardless, we need it, right? We need it because people are going to be in big trouble in this country. period, in terms of employment and in terms of the country being at a compromised position, a very risky one, to be reliant on the world for all of the things we need, from pharmaceuticals to airline components to military. We need to manufacture stuff, period, right? We have to. So that would require a few things. One, reshoring gold, and they called it tariffs. I said, bullshit, it's tariffs. It is not tariffs. They're reshoring. Wake up, it's a ruse. Number two, they would need to shed the reserve status. Well, Bernstein said so, Vance said so. You can see that it's no longer in their best interest. And what are all the countries of the BRICS trading? Local currencies over a bridge network, or the SIP system, cross interbank payment system, something like that. What that's not controlled or compatible with SWIFT, right? Settling imbalances in what? Oh yeah, gold. We'll settle imbalances in gold. And that's the Shanghai Metals Exchange building all these multi-jurisdictional vaults. First one in Hong Kong. Metal that leaves China has to go through Hong Kong. Oh yeah. So Saudi Arabia can sell their oil to China for digital yuan, which is now immediately convertible into gold without going back into dollars. Do it through the Shanghai vault. You got the gold.
This is the mechanism that kills the petrodollar. China and Saudi Arabia aren't just trading in yuan, they are using a gold convertible digital currency. It bypasses the US dollar completely. We are witnessing the birth of a new global settlement system where gold, not the dollar, is the ultimate judge of value.
Where's the second vault being built? Oh, that's right, Saudi Arabia, right now. And then throughout the whole Belt Road, gold is going to be the settlement system for that side. Let's go back over here. All right, so you want to bring back manufacturing, so you get rid of the world reserve status by, in essence, devaluing the dollar, and more or less telling the world through our fiscal irresponsibility, you're an idiot to hold our dollars. But that's really what we don't want. We don't want to be the reserve currency because we want to bring back manufacturing. Trump talked about it all day yesterday in his speech. And so you do that, you reshore the gold, which Judy says you peg to the back end of the bond market, which we've talked about. But that line between conspiracy and reality in terms of where does gold go, here's one place. You talk about the Genius Act, right? And the Genius Act is diabolically genius in the respect that anytime money moves, once this is fully implemented, it has to be done so by stablecoin. The stablecoin is then backed by US Treasuries according to the legislation, right?
This is the smoking gun. The US government cannot officially buy trillions in gold without causing a market panic. So are they using Tether as a shadow proxy? By using a private stablecoin to soak up US Treasuries and gold simultaneously, they can re-monetize the debt secretly. It is a loophole that changes everything.
So look at USA Tether, who will probably be the primary benefactor of all of this. USA Tether, their new CEO is none other than Bo Hines. Bo Hines was Trump's crypto czar through August. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Here's what you're going to do, Bo. When you take and move, anytime money moves from a pack of chewing gum, a pack of cigarettes, a new car, or a new house, it doesn't matter. It's moving a la stablecoin. Bang, settle just like that. No more checks, no more wires. Boom, settle. All right, it's backed by stablecoins. Those stablecoins are backed by treasuries. The interest on those treasuries is not transferable. So Tether keeps the money, the interest. What are they buying? 12 or 13 billion in gold already, and Bitcoin. I think they want to let Bitcoin go higher and continue to rug pull it to pay down the debt. I think they want, and devalue the dollar, by the way, but I think they're continuing to buy gold. And as much as they're going to be buying not only as many treasuries and as much gold as countries do. And all of that gold accumulation devalues the dollar. Now, did they work out a deal to sell it to the treasury? Maybe. He was his crypto czar. He was his advisor. Now he's the CEO. He made the rules that he's now benefiting from. Okay, fine. You're going to make lots of money, Bo, but here's what's going to happen. You're going to sell that gold to the U.S. government when we come calling. Until then, you take the interest that is not transferable to the holder of the stablecoin. All of that money, you keep buying gold. Where were they just a few months ago, Tether? At the Beaver Creek Mining Summit, talking to the actual miners. They're buying miners and they're buying a shitload of gold. And they will continue to do so anytime money moves. Not only will it be synthetic demand for the treasury, keeping rates low, it'll be synthetic demand for the gold market, letting the price rise. And then at some magic moment, maybe it's July 4th, 2026, I don't know, when Judy said he will back the back end of the bond market to gold. We've talked about this before. Maybe they do revalue it to a much, much higher level. They let it rise organically, a la synthetically of the stablecoin moving until you get to that point. But what I'm getting at is that all of this would, and if she's right, and they do peg it to the back end of the bond market, you can bring back manufacturing at zero upfront borrowing costs. Build the new high-tech manufacturing centers at zero upfront borrowing costs and redeemable in gold. So at some point, and her book said 5, 10, 20, 30, not just 50 year, the redeemability is in gold. There is no interest. And the more stupid we are with fiscal and monetary policy, the higher the price of the gold goes. But you bring back manufacturing and no upfront borrowing costs, and you have a massively devalued dollar to sell your product to the world at. Could it happen? Yeah, I think it could. And when you see Bo Hines as the CEO of USA Tether, it really makes it seem like, could it just be a coincidence? Like everything else that we see all the time? No, it's not. I think it's part of the plan. And when he keeps harping on manufacturing, and your own vice president writes about it on White House letterhead, that Triffin's dilemma is such that we cannot be the reserve currency anymore. And the last knucklehead, Bernstein, said the same thing years ago. We're getting to the point where the realization is countries will trade their own currencies and find a way to settle imbalances in something universal like gold. That, I believe, is a very long-winded answer to your question. But yes, ultimately, I think gold will go higher than anybody thinks possible.
If this hypothesis is correct, we aren't just looking at a bull market. We are looking at a complete currency reset. The plan isn't to save the dollar's purchasing power. The plan is to sacrifice the dollar to save the sovereign debt market. In this scenario, holding paper money is a guaranteed loss.
And I'll leave you with one last thought about this. The people who are bringing this gold back in the billions and billions that we know of, because we just heard that only 1 out of 3 transactions is being reported, right? Most of the gold that central banks are buying isn't being reported. It's bought through a proxy bank, or it's not 995 fine, or it's just brought in some other way because it's voluntary. It's not mandatory that they report it. These people don't do things just for shits and giggles. They do it because they understand the monetary system is evolving and gold is being put back into it. It's going to back the Treasury here, and it's going to be a settlement system over there, if I had to guess. I'd love your opinion on that, Mario, because you understand bonds as well as anyone. Do you think I'm on to something, or am I on something? That would be the question I'd like you to answer.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of this guy. Is it Bo or Bob Hines?
Bo Hines. He is the CEO of USA Tether, which is already Genius Act compliant. It is the dollar-based stablecoin.
Well,
and he's now the CEO.
Well, I mean, I guess what your conspiracy theory is that he's acting as a proxy for the US Treasury.
Absolutely. Yes. That is my conspiracy theory.
That's highly possible because.
And is it any more crazy to think that you could add to that conspiracy theory Stephen Mirren, the architect of the Mar-a-Lago Court, just happened to slip into the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, him as well. He wants to devalue dollar as well. And
there you go. Yeah. Follow the dots, connect the dots, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. And that's the thing. That's what I try and do, is follow the dots.
Yeah.
You put those two guys together. They were both his advisors. And now one's at the Federal Reserve and one is the CEO of USA Tether. That's an interesting connection.